Welcome to our discussion regarding settlement loans and lawsuit loans. We're going to be discussing the various types, the pros, cons, and potential. Before modern times, the terms settlement loans and lawsuit loans brought up memories of a court settlement that was a result of an underlying lawsuit. Its implication was that the person who won the settlement had a large sum of money at hand, but in fact, they were usually set up for extended payouts in either monthly or yearly payments. Since they were money granted to you by the courts and due to you, you could borrow money against them. You had to be employed to borrow against a lawsuit loan, but court settlements were a result of often not a viable option for injured individuals. However, the other option was to basically sell the settlement to some investor who gave you less than the total amount, but you at least got your lump sum of money. Fortunately, this method meant getting a smaller total amount of money, but prior to the appearance of modern-era lawsuit loans and settlement funding, if it was needed to pay major health expenses, it could be the Others might simply want to have enough to buy a new. Once spent, there was no expectation of any future payments coming in from the settlement. Keep in mind that just because the court order obligated a defendant payment, that did not mean that the party against whom the judgment was levied would have the money to make the payment. In more recent times, the terms settlement loans and lawsuit loans connote an instrument that would greatly assist those who may otherwise overextend their credit, fall behind on their debts each month. To avoid default, the creditors may want to make some kind of arrangement with either agree to restructure a debt or demand a payment of a lesser amount. Simply close the account and write it off their profit and loss statement. Under a reconstruction, you will have to prove your monthly income, usually with It's important to note that there are no credit checks with settlement loans. Where credit checks are required, the lending company might agree to a lesser amount, waiving the accrued interest back over the duration of the new agreement. We'll have a lower monthly payment in those circumstances. Most often, these creditors will not agree to any extension or restructuring. They want to settle it and get it off their books by agreeing to a smaller total amount of money to pay off the high balance you ran up. The downside of this, of course, is that if you don't have the money to make your smaller monthly payments, where are you going to get a large sum of money to pay this completely? Whether obtaining lawsuit loans and settlement loans or attempting to work out other agreements with your creditors, the main issue is that you should plan your personal finances much better to offset any unforeseen future events. Of course, it's also advisable to avoid using your credit cards simply to charge things. It's also advisable to put the same amount in a bank account where it can build up and then divert some of it to a retirement account where it will help offset the ever-rising cost of living.